So your suggestion is back to what we were talking about. Really, radio isn't something where somebody can just walk off the street and probably pretty much just start working on there. They, they usually want to go to some sort of broadcasting school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really big on education. If you have an opportunity to go to a school, whether it's production, whether it's songwriting, whether it's TV editing, whether it's anything that's media related, I really suggest going and getting the education, because you get that head start, sort of. You really get that hands-on experience, like I've said, where, like you said, if you're just a person walking off the street wanting to do this, when you turn a resume in and they can look and see things that you've done and that you know how to use certain equipment, like that you use here editing wise, and like that I use my commercials for radio, and the broadcast equipment that we use in order to put the music on the air and so forth. It's really good to get the education, and any classes you could take, anything that you could use, learn everything is basically what I would try to say is, if you have an opportunity to get the education, the opportunity to use all the equipment, do it, because you're going to have way better of a chance to walk into this field or a media field versus not having any experience at all.
That way it's not like a sink or swim, type thing where you're just being thrown to the fishes,
Yeah, absolutely. So to speak, sure.
Now, I know that there are DJs that you have to also have a voice for this type of thing too, right? I mean, you've got to be somewhat loud and assertive. I mean, there's a different voice that you use for when you're on the radio than when you're, like, say, just talking to me, isn't there?
Sure.
Or you don't use your...
You use a little bit of a what we call inflection, and something that you try to convey and get your point across. And you want to sound excited on the radio. You don't want to sound like you're bored there. You're just kind of there going through the motions. You have to be entertaining. And it's kind of like you turn on that switch, like I call it turning on the switch, where once you crack the mic and you turn the microphone on, it kind of go in instant mode, and you sort of get that, the proverbial "that's my radio voice" kind of a thing.
And fairtomidland.com, currently on tour with Flyleaf. El Rocho taking your request, 582-1049, Shine Down on the way, as well as Incubus and much more. But first, got to remind you about the first ever sport bike night that we're putting on.
And so that is something that is in my persona. It's really close to who I really am. It's just you kind of turn up a little bit of a notch.
Now, do they like to use the term radio voice whenever they're, people in your business?
It depends, really. It really depends on, there's people I know that you talk to them and that's how they talk on the radio. I mean, that's usually in like news talk and some sort of other music genres. But it doesn't really, I don't think you could determine or define an actual, what we would say, like, is that, using your radio voice kind of a thing.
Right.
I do use different ways or different deliveries, we'll say, in commercials or so forth. Whether it's a certain product, you're gonna use an up tempo, something else that's maybe a little more down to, more sensitive. Where it was like a salon, and it's for generated towards making the woman feel right, or making your significant other feel right, or making your grandma feel right, or whatever. You're gonna make them. You're kind of catering to whatever the business is.
You wouldn't want to go for a mortuary service. You wouldn't want to be like, Joe's mortuary service. You stab them, we slab them.
Yeah, that would not be good, but very funny and entertaining. That would be kind of amusing. But to get the point across, these people might say, "What is going on with this mortuary service?" Right? You kind of want to sort of cater to the
You bring the bodies, we'll dig the holes.
That's right. You're never going to go out of business there, Hey, so maybe you could do whatever commercial you wanted to.
Yeah, the business they're all dying to get to.
Guy keeps them coming, man. Mark, you kind of got that radio sort of appeal to you too,